Hey, Richest, you money maniacs. Today I'm going to talk to you about what the super rich don't do with their money. Let's get right into it. Certain things that the super wealthy definitely do not invest in. The first thing I'd like to discuss that they don't invest in is a 401k. This is one of my favorite things to rag on. I love talking about what a crappy idea a 401k is. Deferring taxes for the future when the taxes will be higher, guaranteed, not a good idea. Also, when you're forced to take money out at a certain age, 71 and a half, and the market is down, too bad, you have to liquidate your 401k and now you've lost whatever large percentage, a third or more, of what you saved in the first place. Remember the example I gave in another video. $1 million in a 401k after taxes and after having to pull it out actually translates to about $73,000 to $76,000. Next to nothing because of fees and taxes, especially because you're in a higher tax bracket now. And you know why? Not just because you have this big chunk of money that you're taking out of 401k, which does apply, not because the taxes in the future are going to be astronomically high. The Office of General Accountability for the United States government estimates taxes will go up to 50 to 60% to cover government spending. Remember, government spending is just out of control. So it's inevitable, right? Why defer to that time? Why not pay the tax now? Those aren't the only reasons, though. The other reason is also because now that you're older, you don't have as many deductions. You're not working anymore. You don't have children living at home. You're not paying for their schooling. You don't have the same list of tax incentives or tax deductions that you used to have. Oh no. That means that higher taxes and fees and forced out when you probably don't want to take it out, and your cost of living is higher, and you don't have as many tax incentives. Oh no. Yes, that's 401ks. Not a good idea. Super rich people don't go near those with a 10-foot pole. The second one is the IRA and the Roth IRA. And the Roth is particularly interesting simply because thanks to Graham Stephan and of course Andre Jick, who I've really started to watch more of his videos, and I'm really enjoying his work also. I think they're doing great work, both of them. But there's just some refinement that they could probably really benefit from, especially from the laser fund. So basically with the Roth, the idea is that you don't pay taxes on the income you get from it once you retire. However, there's a lot of limitations when it comes to the Roth. The biggest one for the super wealthy is the idea that you can only put in up to $50,000 a year. If you're super wealthy and you're making $100 million a year like Jeffree Star, or hundreds of millions per year like Jeffree Star, you need some place to put more than just $50,000 a year. So especially to find tax-free. And again, that's where the laser fund comes in, but there you go. So the other thing that's really important to consider when you're talking about a 401k, an IRA, or a Roth IRA is that everybody on the planet seems to be convinced that 4% over the course of 30 or 40 years is a good percentage of growth. And that's a complete misnomer, because taxes are increasing way beyond that. Inflation is increasing way beyond that. Your cost of living is skyrocketing. The value of the dollar is plummeting. The market is going to correct. It's going to completely bottom out. And so the idea here is that, oh, well, if you're in the market long enough, it averages out to 4% because it does this. But what they're failing to point out is that not only is 4% way too small an amount for a super wealthy individual to consider worthwhile, but also you're losing all that time. Now see, what happens when you put money in the market, right? You give it to a business and a broker gets a piece of that, or a banker gets a piece of that, or the business gets a piece, takes most of it. And they use that to grow their business. But remember something, one of your most valuable assets is time. And so if you're putting money in there and it loses value for 3, 4, 5 years and then slowly comes up to where it was when you first had it, you just lost 5 years of your life that no amount of money will ever be able to buy back. Never. That is especially why the super wealthy do not go near 401k, IRA, or Roth IRA. In fact, that's why the laser fund originally was called the rich man's fund, but we'll get into that later. So the third idea that super wealthy people do not use is to buy stocks. Now, let me be very clear about what I'm saying when I say buy stocks. They don't buy into the market. They merge companies, or they start an IPO, or initial public offering, when a company is going onto the stock market for the first time. And actually, that's in some of my training in our Richest You Mastering Money course. And I think I've actually put it in an earlier video also mentioning the idea of an IPO. In fact, it's Robert Kiyosaki's cash flow quadrant that actually talks about either you're an employee, or you're self-employed, or you're a business owner, a true business owner, or you're an investor. And actually what you want to do is eventually be an investor. That does not mean buying common stocks just as an investor at market value. What it means is that you invest in ways, all the secret ways that super wealthy people know how to do, which aren't really that secret actually. Everybody knows about it. But you have to be of a certain liquid value. You have to meet certain criteria, and you have to be what's called an educated investor. The SEC rulings, Securities and Exchange Commissions, by law require someone to participate in an IPO. They must have a liquid value, cash value of at least $300,000, and then other hard assets as well, because it means that you understand how the stock market works and how dangerous it actually is. What you're hearing a lot on YouTube is about people who are buying low and selling high. Well, yeah, that's the rule, buy low, sell high, but where and when is actually the secret. Now, Andre Jick just did a great video about how he's a dividend investor, and that's a really good position if you really are determined to just learn about stocks. If you want to get into stocks, that's great. Do it the way he suggests, which is to look for companies that will never go away and pay a decent dividend. Here's the only thing, right? To get any kind of substantial income from a dividend stock, you have to own millions and millions of shares. And those shares, for any company that pays a decent dividend, you can be sure they are some of the most expensive stocks to get. Now remember something, when it comes to stocks, to be able to get any kind of return really, you need volume, not price. It doesn't matter what the price is, right? If you buy one stock at $1, right, and it goes up $1, you've made $1. So it's a $2 stock, you made $1, but you only made $1. But if you buy 10 stocks at $1 and it goes up in value $1, those 10 stocks are now worth another $10. Well, it's only a $1 stock, but you made $10. That's where people get tricked into the penny stocks and the cheaper stocks, because the secret is to be able to buy in volume. So unless you're already super wealthy and you have $1 billion that you just want to play with the stock market, I would not recommend going into the stock market. However, Graham Stephan and Andre Jick have it right when they say you need to start learning to invest as soon as possible. They just need to pick a different avenue for investing. The laser fund by far is the best tool to invest. Now, it's not an investment tool, but we'll talk about that again at another point, or you can watch one of the other videos where I explain how a laser fund kind of works. Even better if you're really serious about learning about it, and I know I talk about this a lot, but you know what? It's just that important. Go to liveabundant.com, tell them you talked to Richest You, and they'll explain it to you in detail. I promise you'll never go back. You'll be so glad you did. It's the best thing I ever did for myself. It's the best thing I ever did for my business. All right, so stocks. Super wealthy people buy businesses. They don't buy stocks. Okay, and if they do get into a stock, they do it before it goes public, because often in an IPO you can buy shares for $10 a share, right? But then when it hits the market, it's valued at $20 or $30 or $50 a share. And so what happens is, as soon as that company stock goes public, they sell right away because now they've made their money. So they get in before the company goes onto the stock market. As soon as it hits the stock market, they sell their shares. And now dopes like you are paying $50 a share to pay for them, to buy their shares that they bought at $10. That's where you want to be. Those kinds of situations. And trust me, there's always a new opportunity, and there's a whole bunch of different ways to do the same thing, to leverage and to be part of deals. However, you have to study about them. You have to learn how money works. You have to actually get into the nitty-gritty of it. So that is one of the things when I say super wealthy won't buy stocks, that's what I mean. They either run the company with the controlling number of shares, which would be hundreds of millions of shares, or they buy in an IPO before it goes public and make their money and get out. So I hope that's clear. All right, so the difference is the way you buy stocks versus the way the super wealthy get involved in stocks. The fourth idea that super wealthy people do not involve themselves in are ETFs, or exchange trade funds. These are funds that are traded like it's a common stock, but it's actually a grouping of common stocks. It's actually a fund of different industries and different companies. And they're traded as if they're its own company. And they actually are very popular, that and indexed funds. Right now, in fact, the bubble is going to be like 2008. For 2020 or 2021, coming up very soon, an indexed fund or ETF bubble. Now here's the danger. Because they're becoming so popular, there's lots and lots of money rushing into these things, right? That actually allow the people who offer ways to make money indexing them or exchange trade funds different opportunities, different contracts. Well, we'll pay you this percentage if you give us this for this amount of time, and we'll give you this multiplier if the market does this. And so they get real creative, and that's that same creativity that caused the market to crash in 2008, only it was in real estate. And of course, we won't even get into that because all those rules have been pulled back too, which means the banks are doing the exact same thing they did before 2008, but that's a different story. Super wealthy don't participate in ETFs unless maybe they own it. So the fifth place that super wealthy do not put their money is in high yield savings accounts. Why would you put your money in a savings account that's paying you 0.0001% on the dollar? Why would you do that? On top of the fact that why would a super wealthy person invest in something that's losing value? The US dollar is declining value every second of every day. They're not going to invest in that. So savings accounts are not where they put it. If they have anything in savings, it's just spending cash. And for them, super wealthy, a couple $1 million is probably spending cash. And actually, they probably wouldn't even do that. They would just use a black card and have an unlimited credit limit and then just pay that off every month. So that's the fifth thing. Cash is the dollar, or any declining currency is not where super wealthy are going to put their money. They're only going to put their money wherever it makes them more money. Remember that. That should be your rule from this moment moving forward. Only put your money someplace where it makes you more money. If the dollar is not making you more money, don't put your value there. Don't put it in a savings account. In fact, don't invest in the dollar. Invest in something that's gaining value. The sixth one I'm going to talk about that the super wealthy do not put their money in are CDs. And the reason for that is the same as the savings accounts. You only put money in places where it's going to make you more money. But even more importantly, CDs, when you make money on them, like stocks, like capital gains, you get taxed on it. Oh, and by the way, if you're super wealthy and you claim it as income, you're going to get the crap taxed out of you. It's already up in the 35% for certain incomes and 24% for just $122,000 a year. 24%. I mean, that's a quarter of the year you're working for the government. Crazy. Remember, you work for the government a quarter of the year, it makes you a slave, right? That's what that means. Well, nobody seems to think about that. But that's a whole nother topic. So back to the idea of CDs. When you claim something as income, especially capital gains, like even gambling, you go out and you win $10,000 gambling, you pay a third or more of that in taxes just because. You see, the really curious thing about capital gains tax, and the one that kind of bums me out, is they tax you when you make money, right? But who cares when you lose? Nobody cares. It's only when you make money. Nobody's there to help support you to take the risk. See, you want to learn about money and you want to invest and you want to start to actually generate some wealth for you. And that takes time and effort and focus. But nobody cares about you until you actually make something. Isn't that an odd place to be? Isn't that an odd way for culture to perform or to look at people? Oh, no one cares about you until you start to actually do something with your life, and then you owe everybody else a debt of gratitude. Where were they when you were trying to learn this information in the first place? All right, so I don't want to digress too much. I know I get a little bit preachy, so I apologize. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope that it really helped. Please give us a thumbs up if you like this video. Please subscribe to this channel. We'd love to be able to let you know that every time we put up a new video. And more than anything, I really hope that you take this information and go find out for yourself. I look forward to seeing you again real soon. Thanks from the Richest You. And if you are interested in learning more about money and how it actually works, and maybe even more about what I'm talking about in this video, definitely try out our course, The Richest You Mastering Money. The link is down below in the description. We love you guys all you crazy Richest You money maniacs. Talk to you soon.